I ordered a master cylinder from Two Step Performance, but it doesn't come in for a little bit, and so I'm gonna try to see if I can fix it for, I guess technically free, but for you guys it'd probably be closer to like $30-$40 depending on where you get the master cylinder from. It may be a little bit more expensive if you get it from like O'Reilly's or whatever parts store. But let me turn the camera around. Here's the EM2 master I was talking about. Obviously it's used. It was in one of my RSXs. And as you can tell, the master itself, let me put the camera down. That might be easier. So, as you guys could tell, the master doesn't really have much in and out play or anything, and it also doesn't have the fluid dampener that the newer masters have, and so it should technically, have a little bit better feeling and shift response, and so we'll see how that goes. And I already did actually take out the one from my 10th gen. Here's how it looks. I actually wasn't familiar with the fluid dampener and the masters on these cars before I installed the RV6 retrofit clutch, which is, I assume, the reason why it's been having issues. As you guys can tell, it does have a lot of play. It's usually okay if it has play like this, since it's a sort of like a ball joint inside. I'm not sure, a pivot ball, I guess you could say. But usually they're not supposed to have in and out play like that. As you can tell, this one doesn't have in and out play. But as I was saying before, I wasn't exactly familiar with the fluid dampeners or the master cylinders that are on the 10th gen currently. So I know there's a company that takes these masters apart and just takes the fluid dampener out and then fills it or does whatever, which is, I guess that's an option that you could do if you were to do it yourself, but I don't want to pay just for the exact same master and just have the fluid dampener in it filled and then them charge like 20 times the price. So what I'm gonna do right now is just, there is a, a snap ring in there, and I just went to Harbor Freight and got a snap ring pliers, and so I'm going to try to take this snap ring out and then replace the push rod with the one in the, I guess you could say, the new one. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick, see if I can get it out. So that's out of the new one. It's obviously a lot shorter. Move this line. Try not to lose anything. And I'll do this one too. Okay, so that's out. We're going to just try to put the other one in. It's probably going to be a little tough since I have to push this in and depress the snap ring at the same time. This would honestly be a lot easier if you had a vise. which I do not have one. Oops. And now it looks like it's all done. We have the EM2 master cylinder with the tension push rod and clevis. Looks like they are actually a little different. I'm not sure if you guys can see. I can't actually see the screen on my camera. But we're going to try to see if we could get this master in and if it'll work, which I'm hoping it does, and go from there. So this is where we're currently at with the car. I did have to put the battery back in last night just so I could lock the car and everything, even though the master cylinder was out. Obviously that has to come back out to put the sort of newish one in, which is right here. And what we're going to try to do is put the new one in, get it bolted up, see if we can bleed it, and if it bleeds and everything, we're going to try to take it on a test drive, see if it drives better, and honestly if it works, then that'll be a lot cheaper than buying like a kit off eBay or online and basically get rid of the fluid dampener for super cheap with this master cylinder. So the new master is in now, as you guys can tell. It's a little tough to get to, especially when you're taking the original one out. When you guys do take it out, try to get the hard line off, because if you're trying to take it out with the hard line on, you're going to be fighting it for a while, because that's what I was doing. And as soon as I took the hard line out, it came out pretty easy. And when reinstalling it with this one, since the OEM one, the hard line goes in straight, but this one's more of an angle like this, and so it makes it a little harder to get it in. I was fighting with it for a little bit, but now it's in, bolted up. I just have to readjust the clevis and bleed it and hopefully have a working and driving car again. But I'm going to try to do that really quick and bleed the clutch. So the master and everything's back in. I put the battery in loosely because I just want to bleed the clutch, and after all that is done, I'm going to try to see if I can just get the clutch pedal to feel good, I guess. But I was able to just gravity bleed the clutch, and now it's going into gear when the car's on, but it's still a little rough. So I want to try to actually bleed it the correct way, and then if it's still going in rough, I'm gonna readdress the clevis again to bring it out a little bit more and just go from there. So thankfully the car is technically fixed. It's just I think the system just needs to be bled a little bit better, and after that we'll take it for a drive and see how it really does. And yeah, so guys, everything seems to be working properly. The car is all back together, everything is tight, and I'm not all too sure how supposedly when you change the master cylinders on these cars, from what I've seen online, the hill assist and lane departure and stuff will act a little funny just because it throws off the potentiometer. And so I'm gonna try to take the car around the block and see if it'll reinitialize that way, and I won't have to go through the process of trying to readjust the pedal or anything. I'm hoping I can avoid that, just so I don't have to deal with any more issues with the car. But the car, well, I guess not the car, but the clutch pedal feels honestly amazing now. It has a lot more pressure than it has honestly ever since like 500 miles after I put the clutch in. The master started having issues, and I knew I was gonna upgrade it one day, but I don't know what I was thinking. But what it seems like is the master will definitely work on these cars as long as you change out the clevis and the push rod from the other master cylinder, which I honestly didn't see all too much information about it online. It's all just ordering kits from whatever company, and this way is definitely a lot cheaper than doing that. But I want to take the car around the block, drive it for about 10 minutes or so, and see if everything reinitializes. And yeah. So as you guys can see, there are some lights on, and I'm hoping after the drive that they'll go away, but I guess we'll see. So guys, I just got done, well, not really done, but I just drove the car maybe about a mile or so, and after I drove the car for maybe not even a minute, it was probably 2 or 3 minutes I was driving the car did finish initializing, and all the codes went away. There's no more codes or anything. I guess I didn't have to do anything with the potentiometer that's on the clutch. And honestly, the car drives amazing. When I was shifting quick just to test it out, it's not jerky or anything. Obviously you do get a lot more pedal feel. You do feel all the vibrations and stuff through the master now, but I don't really mind it. Especially with how it feels now, it feels so much better. Honestly, when I had put the clutch on, I was honestly super disappointed with just how it drove. I didn't feel like it drove like how it should, or drive how it should. And now honestly it drives so much better. It's not even a new master, it's the master that's on it was probably already 2 or 3 years old, and I had just kept it from one of my old RSXs, and the car drives amazing. Like, I don't know how I can honestly get that through camera. It drives so much better now with this master. The fluid dampener that's in the stock master cylinder honestly makes the car drive so much worse. And whether you guys do it the way I did it, or get like the Willwood kit, or get one from eBay or something like that, the car will drive better regardless. However, if you're on a budget and you're okay with doing a little bit of work, at most this model will probably cost you is, actually, let me look it up before I tell you guys a price. So I just got done looking it up, and on Rock Auto you can find a master cylinder for about 25 bucks, and then pay for shipping, how much ever that is. And then if you're wanting to go to a place like O'Reilly's, from what I saw, it was about $50-ish. And in my opinion, being able to do the mod for super cheap, not having to wait for shipping or anything, it costing ballpark around $50, maybe $60 after tax, it's well worth the investment. The car drives so much better. There's no lag in between shifts anymore, even though it still has the delay valve in the slave. With the fluid dampener out of the master, the car drives so much better. But yeah guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was definitely not too bad of an install to do. I know I didn't really film much of the install. I just don't like to do it just because if I'm struggling or anything like that, or I don't know, I just don't really like to film myself really doing the install. I think just explaining it is a better way for me and a bit easier. But if you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know. It wasn't hard of an install to do at all. The hardest part is probably just honestly getting the new master in with fighting the hard line. Switching out the clevis and the push rod was not hard at all, and this can definitely be done in like probably 2-3 hours if you're not rushing or anything. I wasn't really rushing while I was doing it because I started last night. Even though it was super cold, I got the master out, and then I was waiting until today so I could get some snap ring pliers from Harbor Freight, because I thought I had some at my apartment, however I did not, and so that was the only reason I wasn't able to finish it last night. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.